Elnor is going to be back permanently as a hologram. That's right, a male Kuat Malat Romulan ninja from an all-female order of ninjas who got caught up in a battle against the Romulans and having to do with a derelict Borg cube swore his sword to help Picard, who is now a Sung-type old robot, and then he joined Starfleet, and then he died in 2024, and then came back as a hologram. Guess what? This is the worst episode of Picard yet. This is episode 9, Hide and Seek, where apparently they hid the plot and everything that's good. And we as the viewer had to seek out anything enjoyable. I didn't find anything. This episode was hot garbo, and I'm going to explain why. This is the episode, ladies and gentlemen, that finally ruins Rios forever. Rios is systematically destroyed as a character for the remainder of his possible duration on screen, which may not be long. I have the feeling we're going to kill some people, but Rios is irredeemable trash now. Sorry if you liked Rios, but y'all got played. This is Hide and Seek, and let me tell you, this episode is very dark, and not just thematically. I could barely see what was happening. Usually, when these modern Star Trek shows have a, we'll say, lack of lighting, we'll say dark, ambient, moody, atmospheric lighting, to be very, very forgiving. Whenever it has that, it usually means we're hiding bad CGI. That is computer-generated image. And what does that mean? Well, it means it ain't real. It means it's fake. It means that we couldn't spend the money to actually go to the location we needed to. Barring that, if we did in fact film on this location, and it did look this bad, I would be worried about the quality of the filmmaking, let me tell you. Because some of this stuff looked like crap. We're back at the vineyard. We're continuing off from last time. We're hiding and we're seeking, and we're hiding from Sung, and we're seeking, well, nothing interesting. We got your A plot, your B plot, your C plot, your A plot. The meat of the story revolves around Picard trying to find his way out of the catacombs underneath the vineyard. That's your meat. Your fat, well, that's probably Rios and all the shenanigans he gets up to. And let me tell you, Girardi and the Borg Queen, that's the gristle. Baby, that's the gristle pops in there. Chewing on a nice piece of meat and then hit a weird little chunk of cartilage. That's called the Borg Queen in this episode. So, I've been avoiding it. I've been postponing it. But we're going to have to actually get into this episode. We're going to have to hide and we're going to have to seek. We're in the vineyard. Picard has to waylay Sung's forces long enough for him to... Actually, you know what? I don't know what he's doing in the vineyard. I just realized, I just watched this episode twice in a row, and I don't know what Picard's doing. Is that bad? Am I dumb or is the show dumb? Picard is in the vineyard with Talon. And we're trying to find an escape route in the vineyard so that we don't get killed by Sung. That's what it is. We're just running from Sung. So Sung now has his team of Borg forces, his special op Borgs that are partially assimilated, and oh wow. Now, guess what? The laser lights on their guns, they're green now. Because it's the Borg, they're green. You know the little laser lights you would never want to have in any tactical situation? Because it lets your enemy know when they're being shot at? Yeah, that kind. So, it's at night, and we got these laser pointers going everywhere, and... Man, we need to get some better choreography here. Like, I don't know if y'all ever held a gun, but there is some scenes in this that I actually had to just rewatch just to experience it, just to see if I wasn't dreaming. For some reason, this episode, characters hold guns in such an awkward way, holding them. Picard firing this ancient gun, shaking, and then Talon holding this gun, and I swear to you, she's firing it just like this. She just picks it up. Expression doesn't change. She's not really looking where she's firing. It just looks horrible. And we're supposed to believe that we're surviving against Borgified special ops loaded to the teeth. Agents, okay? Militia, alright? Mercenaries. They know what they're doing. And we're kind of winning. I don't know how. But, like many things in this episode, it beggars belief how we even survived it. It beggars belief how I survived it, watching it as many times as I did. But I'm doing it for you. Although you probably just watched it anyway, and you came here to see me complain. Is that what you did? Be honest. We have a confrontation between Sung and Picard is saying, like, listen, we can't get out of here, and I can't find my way out, but guess what? You're going to have to find me. Okay, don't tell your enemy that you're just going to have to find me. You know what that means? That means Sung, if he was smart, which ostensibly he is, he should have just carpet bombed the whole vineyard. I mean, he's looking at him. Well, you can't kill me if you can't find me. Okay, boys, light him up. Attach the little grenade launchers, just friggin' blow the building up. I'm sorry if this review is out of sorts and sounds insane, but when an episode is particularly insane, I get insane and I can't follow what's happening. And I have a hard time reviewing it in chronological order. So you should take that as a warning that this episode is a mess. And I do think it's the worst episode so far. Okay? Picard proceeds to run around in the vineyard in the catacombs because, as we've established before, there is catacombs underneath the vineyard that were used during World War II. And all the while, every little statement is sending him into a ambiguously long flashback into the past where he's remembering being in the vineyard catacombs. His memories from the future, and everything is about his mom and his dad, and there's something wrong with his mom, and I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about it at all. But you would be forgiven for thinking that this is just the Urmotic syndrome sneaking back in, even though he doesn't have it, and he's in a robot body, which can apparently bleed and die. I don't know why. He seems a lot weaker than Data, even though we used the Sung method. Wouldn't it be funny if Picard was super strong, like Data? They should have did that. That would be so dumb. I would just love it. Why not just go full dumb? Why are you even bothering trying to make sense? You can't. You're obviously not smart enough to write this so it makes sense. Just go dumb. Just go complete dumb. It might be fun. It won't be boring and sad, but it'd be fun and stupid and dumb and lazy. That's worth something. Fun and crazy and bad is worth something. I've realized that in my old age. It's so sad. Such a gritty, grimy episode too. Picard eventually realizes that holy crap, we've gotten control back of the ship, the La Serena, which Girardi has lost control of to the Borg Queen, but Picard realizes they've got control of it again because somebody has beamed Borg drones into the walls of the catacombs. Well, there's Borg nanites in them, right? Like, you don't want to just leave them there. You want to... What would you... Beam them into a volcano or something? Like, the La Sirena, I mean, obviously you can beam back and forth between orbit and the surface. So, maybe they could have just beamed them right into the bottom of the ocean. I don't know. Beam them really, really far underground. Like miles underground, not just into the wall of the catacombs so that they can find them in the future. And then we probably won't find them in our future when we go back anyway, because we've already established that this is multiple timeline theory. Holy crap. The more you think about this, just don't think about it. Rios, by the way, in our B-plot, is now realizing, he even says it, dang, I've made a mistake taking you guys here. Holy crap, I never should have got you guys involved in this. Yeah, I guess, Rios, you shouldn't have gotten this innocent civilian and her child involved in this war with the Borg. Maybe that was dumb. He says it. It's one thing to not say it, but then when you admit it to yourself, it really just drives home the stupidity. And this is what I meant about Rios going to hell, in this friggin' episode. I shouldn't have got you guys into this. And then as soon as the Borg show up, he abandons the ship. Okay? He's taking command of the ship. It's not his ship, remember. This is the alternate timeline future Rios' ship that we've commandeered. Okay? Keep that in mind. He's taking control of it. It responds to his access codes and his phrasing, his voice. And he has abandoned it in this episode. He abandoned the ship when the Borg showed up because he made a egregious error in taking innocent civilians onto the ship that are not from his timeline. So he had to abandon the ship and just give it over to the Borg, putting his faith in Girardi, that Girardi would figure out a way to confuse the Borg Queen long enough to get control back. Luckily that worked. I don't know how, but we're just flying by luck now. We're leaving it in the hands of luck. We have no strategy. We have no grace. Girardi's got a funny face. And while Rios is running away, he gets shot in the arm. And he just is like, ow. Ouch. I got shot a little bit. It hurts about as much as a bee sting. Yeah, no, it's horrific to get shot. It's the gravity of the situation is lost on the writers. It didn't feel like it had any weight to it. But then Picard, harebrained Picard, says, "Oh, beam Teresa, Talon. Beam Teresa, the child, and Rios to safety. Just so we can beam Rios out of the fight, so that he can come back later at a dramatic moment." Good on Picard for figuring out that we need to get Teresa and that kid out of here. But why send Rios away? He got shot in the arm. Yeah, it's very bad, but I don't know. Why couldn't you beam Rios back into the ship? Like maybe there's something he could do there. It's something about it just doesn't feel right to me. Like maybe, why couldn't we beam Rios into into the weapons locker of the La Sirena? Maybe that would be good, But no, Rios, Teresa, and the kid are now in Talon's secret lair, and the trifecta of stupid, quadfecta, if that's a word, when we get to what happens later with Rios. But he's having a discussion with Teresa in Talon's getaway, and she's saying, "I don't want you to go, I want you to stay." And he says something like, "I was actually considering staying. For a moment I was really thinking about it." Rios tells Teresa that he was thinking about staying in 2024. He's been arrested for no reason. The medicine there barely works. He would be disrupting time. That's already a no-no. I can't. I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't even have the words to really describe it. I mean, we've messed up the time so much now. It's very, very hard for me to imagine that we can even get back to the correct time. Right? It's hard to believe we can even get back to like 2400 or 2401 that we remember. I'm very skeptical that that's even possible. Like, how would you discriminate what timeline is actually correct? You would need the Borg Queen to somehow select for you the correct timeline and then somehow program that into the ship's trajectory. I have no idea how that would work, but I cannot. It is becoming increasingly obvious that we are not going to resolve this plot by next week's episode. This is the second to last episode, and it is blatantly obvious that we are not going to solve the crisis with the Europa mission unless the next episode is running at a breakneck speed, and I mean Whiplash style speed. Like, you're not even able to follow what's happening. I can barely follow what's happening in this episode. If you noticed, the first few episodes of Picard season 2 were very fast paced and very confusing and went by like this, and blink and you'll miss it plot details. And then we just went, and then we were just spinning our wheels for like 6 episodes straight. And now we're back to this one, and they're like, oh my god, we gotta finish the season somehow. Holy crap. And I had the distinct feeling, I don't know how I can tell, so this is just speculation, but I'm speculating that at some time when they were finishing up this episode and the next one, this is when they realized they were going to bring everybody back from TNG for season 3. I feel that they were going to end this in a different way, and then something happens and it veers off in this different path that I think that is designed to allow for season 3 to happen. I think they originally had a completely different plan, and that's why I felt the ending made so little sense in this episode, and we'll get to that. It is just speculation, but I feel that they had a change of plans at some point when they were finishing this episode. Because the ending feels like it came out of nowhere. Similar to the ending of Discovery Season 1. The less we remember about that, the better, though. So let's forget I said that. Picard and Talon end up in that glass-roofed area, you know, that we saw at the beginning of the season where there was a big hole in it. You know, the the hole in the in the glass that Picard threw a rock through. And then when the vineyard burned down off screen in Star Trek Generations, and then they rebuilt it exactly as it was before, even though it looks different than it looked before it burned down. When it was and then it ended up I don't know, did they rebuild I thought that the whole thing burned down in Star Trek Generations. Okay, I thought it was gone, but I guess that glass area. I mean, my experience with glass is that it pops when it gets hot, or something. You know, like you see windows break when there's a fire. I mean, everybody died in the fire. It must have been very bad. Anyway. That's where the hole came from. Picard threw a rock from it, and that's how it ended up in the year 2400 and some, looking like that. Okay, we just accept it. Once Rios beamed back in to fight off Soong and the Borg forces, they get into a little combat encounter. Rios somehow prevails. After Teresa somehow learned immediately how to use a medical tricorder to fix Rios. Do you remember short treks? Back when they were doing short treks for Star Trek Discovery. What was it, the problem or the trouble with Edward? He was a Starfleet officer who couldn't figure out how to use his tricorder, indicating that it's not that easy to use. You can't just guess it. But Teresa somehow guesses it, fixes Rios' arm so that he can beam back at the opportune moment, conveniently, to save Talon and Picard from the Borg army men. Sung picks up a dropped weapon at just the perfect time. I don't have to be from the future and know how to use this, right? If I fire it, you'll die, right? Rios says, yeah, but if you don't have the right DNA, it'll blow up. But it takes time. It's time activated. So there's enough time for Dr. Sung to throw the gun so that it poofs away in midair and he gets away like it's Scooby-Doo. Like, you ever watch those shows where a magician or something has a little smoke bomb, and when the smoke is gone, you can't find out where he went to? I am not joking. It is exactly like that in this episode. There's a little explosion and he's gone. It's like, he's like a magician, guys. He's not just a scientist, he's also a magician. And then at the end, they find him and pull his face off and reveal it was the groundskeeper all along. It's just like in that show Scooby-Doo. Remember? Where they go around in that van and solve mysteries? Except this time the La Serena is the mystery starship, and they're solving the mystery of what happened to the future, and they find Dr. Sung, and they pull his mask off. Remember? A skeleton key of some sort, looks like some special design key, flies out of the wall after this explosion. Picard finds it and then completes his memory in his mind. And at the beginning of this season, I had incorrectly believed that we were going to show Picard's father as being abusive. I was wrong. It's much worse. Somehow it's worse. Because that key was the key that Picard used to open that room where his mother hung herself. And he had inadvertently believed he was playing hide and seek. He found his mother, led her out of the room that his father was hiding her in, and when she left the room, she killed herself, and Picard blamed himself because he had the key. Oh my god. Oh my god. So 10-year-old Picard was looking at his mom just hanging there. And disregarding the fact that the rope was already there, if you watch this video closely, this episode, I shudder to even call it an episode. The rope was there before she got there. What was the rope for? Why was it there? You see her putting this stuff up in reverse, but if the rope's already there, that means it was there from the beginning. So what was it, just something that you pulled down to, like, take the shades down or something to do with the roof? I would have liked a little explanation for that, but she hung herself. And that memory that Picard had in TNG of his mother with the tea set, that was something he made up to cope with the fact that his mom killed herself. That's what that was. Now when I go back and rewatch that, I have to think that. And this was the year like 2310 or something. 2320. Like, it wasn't 1890. Oh my gosh. I didn't want to know this stuff about Picard. I didn't want to know any of that. What did we need to know? Back in the day, we didn't know anything about these characters, really. We knew what they did, not who they were. Keyword being were. It didn't matter who you were. It mattered what you did. Picard is no better or worse for having seen his mom kill herself. That doesn't have anything to do with anything. What am I supposed to think? That Picard, he's so tragic and damaged, and now I like him more. No, I don't. Okay, I don't like him more. That doesn't work like that. Who thinks this? I mean, you can hear in this episode these Borg drones being slaughtered. You can hear the sound, the squishing of the meat in their head when Raffi and Seven force a knife into this guy's head. They only just became these Borg, we cannot. Why are we not affording them the same courtesy that we would Jurati? We're trying not to hurt Jurati because we know she's Jurati. These people had friends too. And yes, in Star Trek First Contact, we did kind of hurt them bad. But the old shows weren't perfect. But these were people. And holy cow, Jurati, this whole time, Jurati is fighting on the inside, right? She's trying to break into the Borg Queen's mind. And the control of the ship is locked behind a fractal code, they call it. And there's no way the Borg Queen can figure it out from Jurati's mind because Jurati deliberately did not memorize it or look at it. Very smart. This next part is very dumb. She then says that she hid the code inside the mind of the holographic version of Elnor. And then she turns on a holographic Elnor. And the code to activate the ship's controls is in his mind. And that bloodthirsty little monster goes to the armament section of the ship. And he sees a sword. He passes up the guns, sees a sword, and then menacingly grins. Okay? And he was in Starfleet, Elnor. The real Elnor. And then earlier in this episode, we're told that after Voyager, Seven tried to join Starfleet, but they wouldn't have her because she was a former Borg. I don't know, somehow I don't believe that. Somehow that doesn't sound right. Exemplary service, years on board Voyager, just encyclopedic knowledge of how to defeat the Borg. Very useful stuff, but no. And this goes back into First Contact as well. They did try to have Picard sit out the battle with the Borg because he was considered compromised from having been a Borg. It's not totally without merit, but I didn't like it then, and I don't like it now. So, like I always say, the fact that it happened before, something similar to it happened before, doesn't make it okay to do now. And I certainly don't like the fact that we know now Seven tried to be in Starfleet and then wasn't allowed. Never mind the fact that the Federation had supported the ex-Borg and Borg artifact research program last season. A lot of these things seem to be at odds with last season. And I guess we're supposed to believe Confederation, like the bad timeline, La Serena technology, is hundreds of years ahead of our technology because Elnor has a mobile emitter on his arm. Do you remember how the emergency medical program or hologram on Voyager didn't come with a mobile emitter out of the box? He couldn't leave the ship. They got him, spoilers for Voyager, okay? They got a mobile emitter as a result of finding the Aeon, which was a time ship, I think it was 29th century ship, and it was derived from that in some way. I'll leave it at that. So the mobile emitter is actually hundreds of years in advance of 2400. So that's how advanced the Confederation is. Really? That's really something. Not to mention the terrifying implications of the fact that we know now that this Lacerina can create at will holograms of anyone who has been on the ship, complete with mobile emitters. So we can just form an army of people out of nowhere. Is that it? You know, I mean, I can understand if they're confined to the ship, but mobile emitter, that's a big jump. I mean, if we had known that earlier, think of what we could have done. Why did Girardi had multiple episodes to figure this out? The fact that we could have just spawned help for ourselves. Why didn't we just respawn Elnor as soon as he died? Oh, there you go, Raffi. Look, he's still alive. There you go. He's back. Look, he's not gone. He's holographic Elnor. And I have a feeling that they used the mobile emitter because that's how they're bringing Elnor back, baby. No one's ever really gone. Elnor is going to be back permanently as a hologram. That's right. A male Kuat Malat Romulan ninja from an all-female order of ninjas who got caught up in a battle against the Romulans and having to do with a derelict Borg cube, swore his sword to help Picard, who is now a Sung-type old robot, and then he joined Starfleet, and then he died in 2024, and then came back as a hologram. That's Elnor, baby. Gone are the days of backstories that made sense, or people that were just, normal. Welcome to modern Trek, where nothing makes sense, and the canon is made up as you go. Elnor defends the ship from these Borg, and then, at the request of Seven, releases the access code to control the ship because they need the ship to defend themselves from Girardi, or the Borg Queen. So he blinks, and then the ship is activated, and then we have a three-way fight scene between Borg Queen, Girardi, Seven, Raffi, and holographic Elnor. She wastes no time in using her tentacles to her advantage. The tentacles are back because this is modern Trek, and she eliminates all of her foes, but before she can kill Girardi, she cries. That little single tear comes out. What is this salty discharge? She cries. And then Girardi activates in her mind, and she has a one-on-one conversation with the mind Girardi. And I'm not making this up, okay? Girardi convinces the Borg Queen that what the Borg Queen is really lacking is socialization with other people. You see, the Borg went through all that trouble assimilating all those species because they were lonely. Yeah. It wasn't because they were looking for biological and mechanical perfection and were attempting to take over the universe as a function of their innate instinct. It's not that. It's that they were just lonely. And they wanted somebody to understand them on an emotional level, okay? It's not that they were an unbeatable foe, a force of nature. It's that they were someone who could somehow be reasoned with and convinced that they were just lonely. How have we not defeated the Borg yet, if that's all it was? How did it take till now to convince the Borg to turn around? If it was that easy, We've seen the Borg Queen be destroyed. Okay, we've seen Picard defeat the Borg Queen in the past. We've seen ex-Borg, led by Lore, on missions of their own volition, if you can call it that. And we've seen the XB program in Season 1 of Picard, we've seen more or less the destruction of the Borg as a threat, but now we're realizing we could just beat them just by telling them that they're lonely and being their friend. Isn't it weird that Q never mentioned that? Q was the one who brought the Enterprise in contact with the Q in order to give the Enterprise a head start against fighting them. Q basically saying that they can't be argued with. They're like a nameless, faceless wave of destruction that you just can't argue your way out of. That was the point of the Borg. So can't you see that when we do it this way, we're defeating the Borg as a narrative idea? We're not defeating the Borg as an enemy. We're defeating the narrative of the Borg. So we're really reverse engineering our entire, plot with the Borg. It's bad enough that we had a queen to begin with. I'm one of those people who's not big on the queen. I think it was better not to have a queen. And now we're even going further beyond that, and we're saying that we can just argue with them. Sorry. Yeah, we were wrong. You can just argue with them. You can just use diplomacy. Why not? Garbage. Bad idea. This conversation, I'm going to be honest, I couldn't listen to it. Between Girardi and the Borg Queen. I watched it the first time. On repeat watchings, I had to skip it. I don't know what. I don't understand. You're lonely, and in all these timelines, look, I can show you. All these timelines, guess what? The Borg fail in all of them. Are you sure? Well, there's a lot of timelines. It's hard to believe they fail in 100% of them, but logically, if you're going to fail on all these timelines, you should just join the Federation, right? So, listen, the Borg Queen's good now. Girardi and the Borg are now merged together, not unlike V'ger and Ilia, and Deckard for that matter. Spoilers for TMP. We are kind of just walking back so much stuff for the season. It's kind of like The Voyage Home meets First Contact meets the motion picture now, because we've created a new entity that's biological and mechanical in the form of the Girardi Queen, who's going to go back and give individuality and emotion to the Borg collective. Kind of like how V'ger was looking for emotion, having reached the end of logic, and fulfills this goal through Spock, a mind meld, completing Spock's emotional character arc at the same time, which was what was so beautiful about the motion picture. We've walked back that idea, and we're just kind of giving it to the Borg Queen for no reason, and we're doing it with time travel, and we're messing up the timeline. And many times in this episode, we're talking about getting back to our timeline and the fact that the Borg are going to have like a 400-year jumpstart. Like, we don't know. We don't know any of this. We don't know. We're in the alternate timeline theory of time travel. We proved it. We don't know what's going to happen next now. This could all be a joke. Soong could have attacked Picard completely on false pretenses. He wouldn't know. Why would he believe the Borg Queen that she knows the future? I don't even believe her. She probably doesn't. Okay? Because we're not in one timeline anymore. Okay? We're just jumping all over the place. So, Seven and Raffi give the Borg Queen the ship in return for saving Seven's life. Seven gets reassimilated, but her life is saved after having been impaled by her tentacle. May I remind you that Raffi and Seven do not have this ship to give. They cannot give it to the Borg Queen. Also, I don't know why you would want to give it to the Borg Queen. Riddle me this. Europa mission is like tomorrow. The Borg Queen is thinking in terms of centuries. Why can't she just wait one day to let these characters keep the La Sirena, do what they have to do, and then let the Borg Queen do what she wants? Seven and Raffi give the La Sirena away to the Borg Queen without having consulted Rios or Picard. And she just takes it and flies it away. And Rios and Picard, dumbfounded, are looking at their only means of livelihood flying away on a whim. It could have been a lie from the Borg Queen. Flies away, and they don't ask Raffi or Seven, Raffi, why did you give away our ship? This is 2024. We need that ship really bad. We're stuck in France, and Europa mission launches like tomorrow, conceivably from the United States. What are we going to do? I don't know, JL. I just gave away the ship. Why did you give away the ship? Well, the Borg Queen wanted it. Why didn't you ask the Borg Queen to wait one more day? Well, I guess I didn't think of that. And I guess the writers didn't think of it either. This show ends with the Borg Queen saying, in order for the future to work, you need 2 Renees. I don't know what that means, but we may be going back in time again to find another version of Renee Picard to take into the current timeline to do some nonsense. I don't know. I hope she finds some Borg transwarp conduits or something, because the Delta Quadrant is a bit of a distance away where she needs to go back to Unimatrix. A conventional warp. It's a little bit of time. Of course, she has the time, but our characters don't. Rios, Picard, Raffi, and Seven, they've only got like a day or so, maybe less, before the Europa mission, and they don't have the ship. So what are they going to do? We're ending this episode. When you're running a serialized show, you need to solve the mini arc set up in the previous episode, and then introduce the next mini arc for that episode, the new one. And then you have to have a clear idea of what their goal is at the end, so you know why you're watching the next episode. I don't know what I don't have any idea what Picard, Rios, Seven, and Raffi are doing at the end of this episode. Picard says, well, let's get to it, let's go. And they just walk off. Picard, where are you going? JL, where are you going? Where are we going? Are we going to walk to LA? Are we going to walk to the United States? What's going on? Why didn't we just ask the Borg Queen to beam us where we needed to go before she left? I don't know where we're going. I don't know how we're going to stop Q. I don't know why he wants to stop the Europa mission now. I don't know why we let Sung live. And on top of that, even if we did kill Sung, I have no idea what that would do to the future, because that would affect World War III. Which is a big deal. You don't want to be changing things like that. Even if you think it's a good idea, it's a bad idea. If you kill Sung, someone a lot worse might come along. Does anybody know what we're going to do next episode? I'll tell you one thing. I'm at least excited for the next episode, because I can't wait to see how insane it's going to be. It's going to be freakishly insane if they try to wrap up this plot next episode. With 4 people, without a starship, and without any special powers really, other than Seven maybe having some Borg implants, stopping a rocket going to another planet, launching from another country in a few hours. And the Borg Queen's gone. And Picard's mom killed herself. So there you go. Philosophically, they tried to bring something in with mental illness and like questions around hiding your past trauma and then coming to terms with it. But it was so hackneyed and harebrained, and it tread on a character we already understood, which is a cardinal sin. So philosophically, very disappointed. Music, I don't know. I didn't hear anything. Visually, garbage. It was just dark, dim, crap. I could barely see. It looked cheap. This episode looked dirt cheap. We were running around in this tiny set forever, and terrible props, terrible effects, terrible gunplay, terrible choreography. I mean, I'm probably missing a lot, honestly. There's so much bad in this episode. I probably missed a lot, to be honest. So, with that being said, it's worse than a 5. I feel bad after watching it. It's not even a 4. I think this is a 3.5. This is weak. This is the worst episode so far, I think. I mean, we got one episode to go, so far be it for me to pass judgment on the entire season, but I'm willing to give this season a big old stinker of a friggin' 4, maybe, entirely. That's for this whole season. If we see the next episode and it's really good, we may be able to get this season to an overall 5, maybe. I don't know how the next episode, is going to be good. I have no idea. But this episode, it's on par with some of the nastier episodes of Season 1, which is a very damning statement to make. You can always tell when I hate an episode when the review is long, because it confuses me. When I hate the episode, I don't know what I'm talking about. I get confused. I'm wandering around in the cellar of my mind, trying not to find dead bodies. See you guys next episode. That was Picard Season 2, Episode 9. Hide and seek. I know I'm forgetting something insane. I know something else insane probably happened in this episode that I'm forgetting. But I don't want to think about it anymore. We ruined 7. We ruined Rios. We ruined the Borg Queen. See you guys next time. I can't wait for this next funeral of an episode. We're finally just gonna have a funeral for all of our characters that we love next episode. Oh yeah. There is a moment in this episode where Raffi and Seven literally make a mad dash for the La Serena by running through a field littered with Borg, laying down tons of fire. They're putting down so many bullets downrange. And they just run through it. And then just knife someone and keep going, and they don't die. Like, they're just spraying bullets everywhere. And we just run past them. They're not even really using tactics that you would use to get across a zone with heavy fire. Like, they're not even trying to go behind buildings and stuff. They just run straight through. And they survive it. I'm not going to survive this. I don't think I'm going to survive the next episode. I'm going to run straight through, but I know I'm going to get shot, and I know I'm going to bleed out, and ain't no one coming to help me, because I'm wearing this color. See you guys next episode. I don't know. Get out of here.